Bismillah. So I believe the sound is on now. Oh, Alhamdulillah. Bismillah. One second. Yes. Sorry. So Bismillah. Let me restart again. Bismillah. In Alhamdulillah. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Um, Today we're talking on an important subject, which is titled The Impact of Islamic University on the World, its efforts in preparing and supporting dawah competencies. This is based upon a study where was made on 27 countries around the world, and where it, it explored the extensive contribution of the university in shaping the global Islamic scholarship and outreach. Inshallah, we will be going through um, this series during the month of Ramadan, 4 weeks, and the first week, which is this week, we're going to speak about the impact of the Islamic University on the world. And the coming week, inshallah, we're going to talk about preparing dawah competency, how the university approach the individuals in order to qualify them to become du'ats. And then week 3, we're going to talk about the follow-up and the communication with the graduates, the approach the university has, and then week 4, the conclusion and reflection. As for week 1, this week, first week, we're going to be talking about notable graduates and their contributions to their respective countries, the academic standing of the university, and its reputation in higher Islamic education as well. And of course, we need to bring historical context on how the university was first funded and founded, and the purpose of the initiation of this university. All praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help and forgiveness, and we ask for His protection from the wrong of our own selves. Whoever Allah guides, none can mislead, and whoever He allows to go astray, no one can guide. I testify that there is no God but Allah alone, with no partners, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and messenger. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, his family, and his companions. So, the Islamic University of Medina is one of the 3 major projects initiated by Saudi Arabia to serve Islam as a nation. The 2 others are the care and expansion of the 2 holy mosques and sacred sites. The second is the King Fahd complex for printing the Holy Quran in Al-Medina. Medina was chosen as the house for the university by the late King Saud, Allah yarhamuhu, the first king from the children of King Malik Abdulaziz. King Saud was the first king, and he chose Medina under the advice of the Mufti of his time, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Ibrahim, Allah yarhamhu, who was also the teacher of the Mufti Sheikh bin Baz rahimahullah. The university was established in 1381 Hijri and on the current era 1961, with the goal of spreading Islam worldwide from the city of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All true to bear in mind that The university is based in Saudi Arabia, but it has a global mission. It was founded with the following objectives. First, to spread Islam throughout education, dawah, and advanced studies, strengthening Islamic values in individuals and communities by promoting true worship of Allah Azza wa Jal and adherence to the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, encouraging and publishing research in Islamic and Arabic studies, along with other essential fields for Muslims, educating students from around the world, preparing scholars and jurists with strong knowledge of Islamic teachings so they can go back to their countries and use the Quran and Sunnah and the way of the Salaf Salih, the righteous predecessors, as a guideline to guide their own people and interpretation of the faith. And the last but not least, building academic and cultural connections with universities and institutions worldwide to support Islam and its teachings. So, this study explores the Islamic University goals and basically goals, but also its global influence in its role in teaching and supporting scholars and du'at specialists in spreading the message of Islam. The significance of this study, based upon, was done by my one of my mentors at Medina University, Dr. Sultan Al Hussein, who is an expert in the field of dawah. He's currently a professor at the university as well at the faculty of the Haram, Kulliyat al Haram, uh, the faculty or no, the Kulliyat al Haram in Medina. Um, he wrote this, and now he's highlighting the importance of this study, where he mentioned the importance of dawah, which is basically Islamic propagation. This study was based to focus on the calling people to Allah Azza wa Jal, which was the mission of the prophets and one of the most honorable tasks. Me, I studied in the faculty of Dawah. We used to call it Kulliyat al-Anbiya, the faculty of the messengers, because we used to say that Wadifatul Anbiya is Da'watu ilallah. We would say that the role and the job of the prophets used to be to give da'wah to Allah Azza wa Jal. So, knowing the significance of da'wah comes with its purpose, which is guiding people to the worship of their Creator. And another aspect of this study is based upon building leaders and shaping their minds. Developing strong leaders and educated individuals is essential for the progress, in accordance to the Sheikh, Dr. Sultan. When the Islamic world successfully prepares knowledgeable, wise, and ethical leaders, it strengthens its community and advances in all fields. The other aspect which this study was based upon is to recognize the Islamic University's efforts. The Islamic University of Medina plays a key role in training future leaders in the Muslim world. Studying its contribution helps and give us the understanding of its impact and effectiveness in preparing scholars and Dawah specialists. Before moving on this study, myself, while I was in Medina, I was chosen by the university people in charge of the university. There was a department, a program they created where they wanted to select students to represent the entire university. And they had two roles. One was an ambassador for education, and the second role was an ambassador or a cultural ambassador. I was chosen to become the cultural ambassador for the university by the people in charge of the project, and another brother was chosen to become the educational ambassador for the university. The role of the brother used to be to travel with the principal of the university and the administration to different countries and visiting um, prestigious universities around the world where they would make efforts to have the accreditation and to raise the um, standards of education to be internationally recognized, such as Oxford, Cambridge, and universities of that nature. They would come to England or even go to America for that purpose. And myself, I was the cultural ambassador. In other words, cultural, we would refer to religious, um, more from a religious perspective, where I would explain Islam, utilizing a professional language that non-Muslims could easily understand and relate to. So during that period, I also won an international exhibition at the university, and at the time I used to be invited regularly to travel to different countries, different cities, to meet special guests who would visit the kingdom. I would, for example, go to Riyadh or anywhere else necessary, or if there was someone who wanted to embrace Islam, I would maybe visit them or send. They would send me their number to communicate with them and explain to them Islam for the period I was in Al Medina for the last maybe 3 or 4 years in my stay in Al Medina. And other than that, I used to travel to different countries, do exhibitions, and be involved in multiple dawah activities and organizations in order to explain Islam to the non-Muslims. As well, during my early studies as well in Kuliat Da'wah, we had a professor who, Dr. Abdul Aziz, who was a teacher in comparative religious studies. We used to have regular discussions on the curriculum of the university because one thing I used to do as a student, um, I used to constantly um, utilize the opportunity I was in the company of scholars and had access to scholars to implement whatever I was learning and have their feedback and ask them better means to improve my method of dawah. Basically, while I was studying, whenever I would go back to England or travel to a different country or go into any religious activity, I would give dawah and try to combine the knowledge and the practice of dawah in order to improve my effectiveness in dawah. Because one thing we have to recall, a da'iyah could be seen as a doctor. A doctor is someone that requires practice. Part of his qualification is to, and training is to practice the knowledge on the field. And this was an approach I took personally, where while I was studying, I would implement whatever I would learn in terms of aqidah, or in terms of tariq, in terms of fiqh. I personally found it extremely, subhanAllah, practical and realistic where I could implement it. And on a regular basis, we would have, me and Dr. Abdulaziz, we would have discussions, and he would frequently ask me for my recommendation if I would see in the curriculum the subjects fit to give da'wah in the West. In my context, personal context, because of course we know the university is global university that has students from over 170 countries. Of course, me being in England or being from Portugal or part of the Portuguese and English speaking world, of course, our reality is different from those in this, for example, Mandarin speakers or French speakers due to their political, historical, and socio-economical status. Of course, it changes from place to place. But from the English context, I used to have these regular discussions with the professor and discuss with them on what we were learning. And personally, I found it because I was the first DUFA, this first group to have the latest curriculum in the Faculty of Dawah, where the major, prior to our DUFA, our group, the major was in Aqidah, theology, and uh, Tariq, history. But my DUFA, the major was on Aqidah and Adyan, comparative study, comparative religious studies. That became our major. So they changed the curriculum where they brought different subjects from other faculties. That prior was only for those who were major in Quran, would have, for example, Ulum al-Quran, and they brought some of the subjects the students had in masters, such as Tadween al-Aqidah, the compilation of Aqidah, or the history or the writing of Aqidah related manuscripts. For masters, they brought to the BA level so that students would focus more on comparative studies and equip them with a better understanding and a better tool for them to then give dawah. I can only speak on my faculty, which was the Kuliya to Da'wah wa Usuluddin, without necessarily speaking about hadith or lugha or sharia. I can't talk about those faculties. The only faculty I will focus on is on the da'wah. And also, I had the privilege to travel inside of the kingdom and outside of the kingdom of Saudi Arabia with many of the shuyukhs and mashayikhs, teachers of the Masjid al-Nabawi. And one thing I can say that I've benefited the most the years I spent in Al Medina was the fact that by accompanying scholars, you learn from their mannerism, from their actions, and their, their one-on-one interactions with the people on the best way to give da'wah and the best way on how to conduct myself as a Muslim or maybe a community leader or a public figure. And I've benefited immensely from their humbleness and their approach and how they educated people, and that made me have a better understanding on what is the role of a daya or a scholar or an influential in between the Islamic guidelines and um, environment. So it's quite important to bring this context on the you know so that one can understand why would I talk on this subject and what are my credentials to talk about it, and how can I maybe share my experience with others who are interested in Dawah or the history or the evolution of Dawah or the current affairs of Muslim institutions and Dawah institutions or personalities, in order that we can adjust and try to improve our approach and, inshallah, our effectiveness in current day. So, the Sheikh on chapter 1 spoke the impact the Islamic University had in the world. And this chapter explores how the Islamic University influences the world through three main areas. First is the academic standing of the university, and the second was the impact of its graduates worldwide, and the third was the efforts in selecting high caliber scholars. So, Section 1, the academic standing of the university. The Islamic University of Medina is one of the most respected Islamic institutions globally, and it's recognized for its strong Islamic and Dawah programs, large number of international students. These are things that make the Islamic University stand out in comparison to other universities. A diverse student body from various countries, an authentic, balanced, incredible curriculum, a strong reputation on Islamic and Dawah studies, and scholarship system that provides students with free housing, monthly wages, medical care, and annual travel tickets. The university follows a moderate Islamic approach, just to make it clear, because there's a lot of misinformation or misinterpretation or misrepresentation of some of the graduates or groups that associate the university that portray the university as the source of extremism. I personally, subhanAllah, I would share that I gain more moderation in my practices and my approach to people after going to the university, you know. And whoever, subhanAllah, has a opposite, approach after going to the university and he becomes extremist, then is a bad sign, or maybe, he's not gaining the beneficial knowledge that is uh, delivered by the university. Maybe it's just hanging around a group of individuals who are not necessarily scholars, and he's just being influenced by them. But whoever studies with the scholars, sits with the scholars, and goes through the curriculum of the Islamic University of Medina, it will teach in moderation, at least moderation, you know. So this approach is based upon wisdom, good counsel, and engaging in a positive dialogue. It promotes unity amongst Muslims while discussing discouraging division. Due to its high academic standard, the university has gained the trust of many institutions worldwide, and the Islamic scholars actively send students to study there. Okay, Islamic scholars from around the world, their own kids or schools would send students to study there. And remember, we're talking about 1961, um, just to put things in context. So, just to give accounts and statements important people made about the university. The former member of the Supreme Advice Council of the university stated, the university being in Medina holds a special place amongst Muslims worldwide. Families and institutions they compete to send their young men to Medina, considering it a great religious privilege to be in Medina. And another account about the status and the importance of the university was King Faisal, Allah yarhamuhu, was impressed by its graduates. Once he met a former student during an official meeting, and he said, during my discussion with the president of Cameroon, the translator was a composed, intelligent young man with a strong control and command of the Arabic language, and his eloquence was remarkable. So this is not Sheikh, this is Malik Faisal's observation and comment on the students of the Islamic University of Medina. Um, the impact of the university's graduates worldwide. Just to give you an example, The graduates of the Islamic University have influenced many aspects of of society across the world, and their contribution includes in areas such as spreading Islamic um, thoughts through da'wah and education, strengthening the Arabic language and studies, emphasizing the importance of the Arabic language, the classical Arabic language, and as well serving in high profile positions such as government officials, religious scholars, and university professors. Myself, I came across many politicians or diplomats and even ambassadors who went through the Islamic University of Medina. Professors, there's so many professors, important jurists, and ulama, who went through the Islamic University process and curriculum and school. So to start, just as an example, the global recognition and political influence of the Medina University. Decades ago, the university's impact was already recognized at an academic conference. A respected Iraqi scholar noted that in 1975, an Iraqi delegation in East and Central Africa found that Islamic University graduates were at the forefront of da'wah, teaching Arabic, and countering misinformation against Muslims, and again, even in supporting Arab nations. I give an example. Sheikh Saleh Al Hussein, may Allah have mercy on him, also shared that King Fahd once mentioned on how the US president had recognized the Islamic University's role. So if we're talking about 1975, yeah, if the US president spoke about the impact in 75 the Islamic University had, imagine, after, you know, so many years. So graduates also hold a key role in leadership in their countries. Um, so many graduates have held prominent positions such as government, ministers, judges, scholars, ambassadors, and diplomats, and leading Dawa figures. I myself know many personally, people who I been mentored or guided or taught by, who have these kind of positions. For example, an Indian researcher stated graduates from Saudi Arabia excel in teaching and da'wah. Um, their speeches and writings deeply influence people, drawing them closer to Islam. This is the kind of influence Medina University brought and was noticed by researchers in India. Also, Moroccan researchers added many graduates have joined the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, um, and some even became key in the government sectors, key individuals in their respective government sectors. So another aspect, the contribution of graduates from Medina University in education and language preservation, as I mentioned, Islamic University graduates have played a crucial role in preserving and teaching classic Arabic. They have also translated important Islamic texts such as the six major books of Hadith, Sheikh Al-Albani's Hadith collection, works of Sheikh bin Baz and Sheikh bin Uthaymeen. Some graduates have become official translators for the government, including Sheikh Mohammed Nasser Zain, Dr. Zaid Akil Munir. He became the official translator for Indonesian president, and also we have another brother who became the official translator as well. So, as well, another aspect where graduates of the Islamic University have the impact was establishing Islamic educational institutes. Graduates have helped establishing Islamic studies programs worldwide. For example, in Thailand, students have contributed to a very to open and fund various Islamic faculties and Islamic schools. Also in Indonesia, they have played a role in advanced Islamic studies departments at Muhammadiyah University, Shafi'i University, and Ibn Khaldun Islamic University. Another example is in political and other aspects when it comes to governing. So in Comoros, graduates hold many government positions, including three ministers, several senior government officials, three ambassadors and consul general, three president advisories, four parliamentary members, and three appointed judges. These are all graduates from the Islamic University of Medina. Their presence in government has strengthened the tie between the Comoros and the Arab world and demonstrated their ability to lead efficiently. So, in conclusion, the Islamic University of Medina has played a key role in shaping leaders, scholars, and policymakers worldwide. Its graduates are spreading authentic Islamic teaching, strengthening Arabic education and translation efforts, holding important government positions, leading global dawah efforts. So the university remains one of the most influential institutions for Islamic education and continues to impact the Muslim world positively. So these are just some of the examples on the impact the Islamic University of Medina had. I got many more examples, but I will keep it short. And inshallah, next week I will continue with the personalities and some of the scholars that we love and respect and look up to, who were graduates from the Islamic University of Al Medina. So it was a pleasure to have you all, and inshallah, we see you next week. And ask Allah Azza wa Jal that you all have a blessed Ramadan, and that Allah accepts our siyam and our qiyam and our dua, and makes this Ramadan as a means to gain closeness to Him, forgiveness, guidance, and gratification of our affairs, our family affairs, and our hearts. We ask Allah to accept it from us. And without further ado, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.